So I have a couple of questions I created for Andy. I hope that he won't be alarmed, right? So I think the first one is really about this great money manager, money management solution and the position that we've done with you. Just, where do you see the challenges that customers are facing, that drove you to seek those kind of, money management solutions?
I think it's worth going back to where we started. So 3 years ago, we started a journey to move from product to customer goals and customer needs. And that really kind of opened the door to a different perspective to the solutions that we needed to build. Of course, value was important, but what we were missing by looking at it in a more traditional lens was actually what were the needs that we needed to solve. So we could see very simply by just looking at the data that we now use that customers were missing opportunities to save money. Obviously bills are going up at the moment, but at the time that's not something new. People don't respond to offers ending, to new subscriptions that they might have signed up to a telephony company, etc. So we saw the data that customers told us they couldn't save, but actually were missing the opportunity to maybe move sooner to that next best deal. And it was actually, I think I've been in banking for quite a number of years, and I think customers probably were a bit skeptical about how their data might be used, thinking that the banks might be kind of spying on their accounts and what kind of decisions and influence that had. But I think that's fundamentally changed. So customers now see the responsibility is with us to help customers make better decisions. And really that's kind of where we started from.
I completely agree. How Santander UK customers are actually interacting, with this My Manager app, and what are the value that you see that brings to the end user?
So I think there's two things there. You've obviously saw some very impressive figures, and that 2 million is the number of people that are engaged with the feature. So it's not just the number of people that it's been exposed to. We've had a very impressive set of responses from customers, so it's supported growth in our mobile NPS for the customers that have registered. We've got some fantastic quotes, as you can see, and we get thousands of these a day, because the unique thing is that customers can give feedback, and then that then goes into the development of the product and how we optimize the insights moving forward. But I think the bit that's really different, because PFM tools and the ability to go in and do some charts and see where you're spending your money, everyone's got it in their app. But the bit that really was different for me with the proposition that we've built was that removing the effort. And to your point, Dorel, the joy of missing out, which is, that automation. I know that someone's got my back. I know that someone's going to tell me that I've sent that thing back that I've ordered. Did I get the refund going back into my account? I've just traveled to Portugal. What did I spend whilst I was there? So it's that proactive nature and the ability to assist the customer beyond, them taking responsibility themselves.
I completely agree. In the future, how do you think that banks, will be able to better address this financial wellness?
I honestly see this type of capability growing exceptionally further. I think it's really important. It's not just about how we serve the 80% of the market, but I think there's a really interesting piece, which is this type of capability levels things up. So those that maybe are not as financially literate, maybe vulnerable customer segments, but there's a really important part where artificial intelligence will help the customers which perhaps have needed that support but haven't been able to access it through traditional services.
We are seeing the growing usage of open banking finally in the UK. It's kickstarting now. You don't need to have a consent. So how do you see banks can actually leverage open banking in that space, combining those propositions with the end user?
So I think for sure what we've built is something that can be translated into the open banking market as well. But I think the bit that when banks approach that and other industries, tap into it, is to focus on the need. It's not about having something that looks a really GUI UI that looks incredible for someone to explore for 15 minutes and then forget about. Once you've got that trust from the customer to look across their full financial health, it's finding those opportunities, and you just got to remember yourself. I think one of the best examples I had as a user of my money manager was in 2020. We signed up to Disney Plus over Christmas to keep ourselves entertained because we couldn't go anywhere. The intention was just to keep it for Christmas because we've got enough subscriptions as it is. And I'd missed it. I had the very intent to cancel it at the beginning of January. I missed it, but I got that insight. And I think it's working to find all of those different types of everyday challenges that people have.
I agree. And let's speak for a second about, a carbon footprint. It's becoming a hype, I would say even at some level, greenwashing, if you are not doing that right. So how do you think, banks should, help customers to fulfill their social duties, such as carbon footprint?
So I think it's another version of doing the right thing, right? So you're either helping customers to do the right thing by better managing their finances, or finding those opportunities to save, or it could be helping people to be more conscious about the way that they spend and the influence that has on the climate. So we've certainly seen the demands come from customers, and there are UK banks and other banks across the globe that are starting to build these types of solutions. But I think there's a general shift in attitude towards wanting to do the right thing, and the opportunity is then the middle ground, which is the tools to help them with that.
I completely agree. Maybe last question. Since implementing My Money Manager, how does the increase of customer engagement really benefit Santander UK?
Yeah, so I mentioned before, obviously we've seen an exceptional take-up. We've seen a really good response in terms of the insights that we're providing. We've had the benefit from an NPS point of view, but there's been this other effect, which is our registered customers are spending more time in our app. So they're actually looking at other things whilst they're in there, and it's probably some of these nudges, which is actually I need to cancel that standing order, or I need to think about the rate that I'm earning on that savings account. But we've seen a greater engagement with their financial health more generally, which I think is only a positive thing, particularly with the way inflation's going at the moment.
I hear you. And when you're thinking about, wellness automation, the ability to take it even much more proactive towards customers, do you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think I think that's really within touching distance. I don't think it's as far ahead as what people might think. I think the ability for Alexa to manage your finances or tell you something that you need to do to transfer some money. You've got a bill that's coming in that's going to be bigger than what you've got in your balance. I really do think that is in touching distance. I think there are some very simple use cases you could do to start with. Energy switching was one of the ones that we were exploring, but that's a bit harder at the moment because there's not too much in the market to switch to. But I think helping customers through automation to understand and helping customers through automation to take action, are going to be very closely followed.
Great. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you for listening to us.